On the 10th of January 1999, the world was introduced to the next generation Batman in Batman Beyond. Immediately from the first moments of the first episode, Rebirth Part 1, we saw something unusual, a cold open. And by that I mean we went straight to the action. Before any title sequence could play, we see the original Batman's last night as a crime fighter, where he suffers a heart attack mid-crime fighting and has to pull a gun in order to save his own life. After having almost broken his sacred vow not to kill, Batman gives up his costume, closing the door to the Batcave for a final time. Some pretty heavy stuff right out of the gates. So the first thing to discuss when talking about Batman Beyond is Batman's new look. His new costume was quite a departure from his original look. Where is his cape gone? But we can see from some early designs that the costume could have looked quite different. Glenn Murakami originally put together some more bulky, techy costumes, but it was decided that the costume should be more sleek, a little creepy and more bat-like. The eyes remain covered and it exposes no flesh at all this time. The only thing we see are the wearer's teeth. It's very clearly designed to dehumanize Batman, to make him seem like a demonic, shadowy beast. This tells us a lot about Batman's mindset at this point in his career. And I have to wonder if his exposure to the public as part of the Justice League might have done something to soften his reputation. Batman could be seen clearly during the day in several episodes of Justice League, and perhaps in the cold light of day that grey, black and blue costume didn't seem so frightening to criminals anymore. There's also the fact that by this point he would have been Batman for a good 30 years, so freshening up his look was only natural. The suit grants the wearer enhanced strength, clearly Batman's response to the rise of superpowered people. Getting punched in the face by Batman probably isn't going to do all that much if you're a hulking mass of muscle and tendons. But what if he hit you with the force of an elephant? Another significant enhancement is the booster in his heels, effectively allowing Batman to fly. He's no longer reliant on his grapple gun, which required a firm surface to latch onto. Perhaps Batman was tired of all the times he had to be carried by his fellow Justice Leaguers. And those retractable wings, while practical, add to the overall inhuman look. With the wings out, his silhouette resembles that of the Man-Bat. There are a number of stealth enhancements as well, powerful microphones built into the fingertips that allow him to monitor private conversations from a great distance and through surfaces. But the one feature that really tickles my nostalgia bone is the camouflage. With a twist of the dial on his belt, Batman can effectively become invisible to the naked eye. Now I view this as a really deep cut callback to the Invisible Man from the BTAS episode See No Evil. Lloyd Ventrix used an experimental material stolen from Wayne Enterprises to craft a suit that would turn him invisible. He would use the suit to commit robberies and build a relationship with his estranged daughter as her imaginary friend Mojo. Prolonged exposure to the material had the unfortunate side effect of driving the wearer insane. So, clearly by the time of Batman Beyond, the scientists at Wayne Enterprise had ironed out the kinks, right? 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 Hopefully, yes. So, with the original Batman retired, that leaves the way clear for a new Batman. Enter teenager Terry McGinnis. Now, I've done a whole video about Terry, so go and watch that if you haven't already. But in less capable hands, things could have gone down a very different path. The studio mandated that the new Batman had to be a teenager in order to make him more relatable to kids. This could have resulted in some pretty sloppy, generic, child-friendly stories like the cartoons of the 1980s. I'm looking at you, He-Man. But instead, we got a thorough examination of what it means to be Batman, presented through the eyes of a newcomer, Terry. Terry hadn't been training to become a superhero since childhood like Batman's other protégés. Instead, he came into it towards the end of his childhood. After a chance encounter with the elderly Bruce Wayne, Terry stumbles upon his secret, that he used to be Batman. In his youth, Bruce probably would have brought Terry in to join his inner circle as part of the crime-fighting team protecting Gotham, but elderly Bruce Wayne is a bit of a curmudgeon and throws Terry out. When Terry's father is murdered and he uncovers why, he was going to blow the whistle on the criminal acts of Wayne Powers' CEO Derek Powers, Terry heads to Bruce Wayne, evidence in hand, to encourage him to don the suit one last time. However, Bruce refuses. Terry then steals the Batsuit and sets out to bring Powers in. One of the key things about Terry is that as Batman, he has no idea what he's doing. Sure, the suit does some of the heavy lifting for him, but ultimately he's still learning on the job. In Rebirth Part 2, there are several instances where Powers' guards get the drop on Batman, something that never would have happened to the original. He almost seemed to have eyes in the back of his head and was prepared for pretty much any eventuality. As such, Bruce takes on the role of a mentor, actively monitoring Terry's performance and commenting on it in real time. The suit has built-in cameras and a headset linking him to the Batcaves at all times. This allows Bruce to offer guidance and instructions. However, Terry has the confidence of youth and the accompanying lack of experience. He is very much learning on the job. When he faces his first superpowered opponent, Ink, in the episode Blackout, that inexperience almost cost him his life. When Ink attaches herself to the Batmobile, Terry disregards the weight difference and heads home. Ink pounces on the two Batmen and would have killed Terry if not for Batman's quick thinking of using a fire hose on her. He would of course make sure to pop on the nearest costume, a replica Grey Ghost outfit, although thinking about it, Bruce probably had bought the original. You might be forgiven for thinking that this new Batman was nothing without his suit, and I think that's something the writers were concerned about after the first season ended. Terry had tried his hand at investigating crimes in his civilian identity, with little success. So we come to the episode Lost Soul in Season 2, in which an artificial intelligence modelled on the brainwaves of a long-deceased titan of industry awakens in Neo-Gotham and takes control of the Batsuit. Terry is then forced to battle the suit without any of the enhancements he would usually have, and comes out on top, demonstrating that it's the man in the suit that defines Batman, not the other way around. The episode should be commended for showing some personal growth and development for Terry. We see him try and fail before he eventually figures out a way to purge the suit, using a combination of brain and brawn. It would have been very easy for the writers of the show to cave to the demands of the studios to create a happy-go-lucky Batman for a younger audience. They could have just as easily gone completely the opposite direction and just created a younger version of Bruce Wayne, all grim and broody. Instead, we get kind of an amalgamation of the two, the sweet spot in the centre. Terry isn't exactly cheerful. He can be short-tempered and emotional, but he's not tortured like Bruce Wayne was. Despite the tragedies in his life, he is fairly well adjusted, with a decent support network of friends and family. He showed that you don't have to be a disturbed loner to be Batman. Anyone could be Batman, with the right attitude and support. Granted, this message was undermined in the Justice League Unlimited episode Epilogue, but I don't let that take away from the show. Batman Beyond would have 52 episodes across 3 seasons and would be critically acclaimed, winning 2 Daytime Emmy Awards in 2001 for Outstanding Special Class Animated Program and Outstanding Music Direction and Composition. Now, I'm no music critic. I don't think I actually possess the necessary vocabulary to articulate why some music is good and others not so much, but I think the Batman Beyond soundtrack was great. The BTAS soundtrack was all about grand orchestral music and themes. Shirley Walker, she loved her villain themes. Oh, and so do I, by the way. But Batman Beyond soundtrack was less about having identifiable music for each character and more about the vibe, I think. The music in Ink's episodes, for instance, was always heavier. I couldn't hum Ink's theme. I'm not entirely certain that she has one, but the music from Blackout remains a standout. And as an aside, hearing Shirley Walker's Batman theme again in Disappearing Ink, but played in the Batman Beyond rock style, was an absolute thrill. Despite the critical acclaim and enthusiasm for the show from the fans, Batman Beyond would not be renewed by Warner Bros. Once they had produced enough episodes for it to be syndicated. Now, for those that aren't aware, syndication means that the studio can sell the rights to the show to multiple TV stations, who then decide when to air it and how frequently, generating more revenue. Writer Bob Goodman had previously attributed the cancellation to ratings not being as high as Warner Bros. Had hoped, and some general concerns about the overall mature tone of the show. If you find yourself longing for more Batman Beyond stories, I can recommend the first 2 Batman Beyond series published by DC Comics. These comics were written by series writer Hilary J. Bader, and had covers by instrumental Batman Beyond creators such as Bruce Timm, James Tucker, and the late great Darwin Cook. They are long out of print and some of the issues are quite pricey, but you can read them on the DC Universe Infinite app, and they are being re-released as part of the Batman Beyond Compendium in March 2024, so look out for that wherever you buy books, probably just Amazon. So Batman Beyond may have been underappreciated by Warner Bros., but it has a legion of fans and people are still talking about it 25 years later. Can the same be said of other shows airing at the same time? Are people still talking about the new Woody Woodpecker show, the PJs or Rocket Power with the same reverence as Batman Beyond? I honestly don't know, but it would surprise me.